beg your pardon, Judy Ogunso has since joined us. He's a data and information analyst, also Channels TV's election consultant. Thank you for coming on this evening.
Thank you.
Well, we've been looking through some of the figures. For instance, yes, we've seen the states where elections will not hold, but then let's take a look at in Lagos. Well, we also do know that the just concluded presidential elections had dramatic turnout, outcome, completely, well, to a large extent, just taking the statistics, history to the cleaners in terms of how it turned out. Take us through your impression about perhaps what to expect in the general, these elections tomorrow. Let's start with Lagos.
I think Lagos is very, very special. It is among the 13 states we currently have that hasn't witnessed any change in the ruling party. So we've had since 1999 the same party governing Lagos State. You also have currently 12 PDP states that haven't changed in leadership. So that's what makes this election very special. But for Lagos, if we look at what happened during the presidential election that the general won, the margin of victory between the APC and the PDP was just 160,000. So the general won with just 160,000 votes. If you look at the results at the Senate level, as the APC as well won, but the margin of victory reduced to 144,000. And if you look at the House of Reps result, the APC won generally, but the margin of victory as well reduced to 128,000. With the governorship election for tomorrow in Lagos State, we're looking at a very interesting case. Will it either be the APC winning by a lower margin, or will it be a dramatic change for the PDP? We've seen the APC winning these three key elections: the presidential, a margin of 160,000; the Senate, a victory for them as well, but a lower margin, 144,000; and we've seen a lower margin as well for the House of Reps, 128,000.
All in Lagos.
All these results are for in Lagos. If we go by the trend, we can clearly see who may win this election, because we've seen the margin has been declining, but it hasn't been too significant. That doesn't mean that the current party that is governing the state will win. We're just simply looking at historicals. We are playing with the numbers, and we're looking at where are these two major parties strong in. Especially if you look at the results for Lagos State at the Senate and at the House of Reps, out of the 20 local governments in Lagos State, the opposition only won 5 local governments at the Senate level. And those local governments are Ajeromi, Amuwo, Ojo, Oshodi, Isolo, and Surulere. They only won 5 out of 20.
But when you say only, this didn't used to be the case.
Didn't used to be the case, especially if you look at what had happened at the governorship election in Lagos in 2003 and in 2011. In 2003, the then candidate of the PDP, that was Funshaw Williams, won 5 local governments as well. Ajeromi, he also won in Amuwo, he won in Ojo, and he won in Badagry and Lagos mainland. Those were the 5 local governments he won. Now, what had happened in 2011 was a big disaster for the PDP. They lost all 20 local governments in 2011 for the governorship election. The PDP won absolutely no local government in the governorship election in 2011. We now see a PDP that seems to be bouncing back. They've won 5 local governments in the House of Reps. So they've won the number of House of Representative seats that the PDP currently has for the is 6. If you look at the Senate, even though all senators right now are going to be APC senators, they also clearly performed well in some local governments.
Let's look at areas where both parties are weak, for instance, so that we'll have an idea of what else to expect from these two laws, right from 2003 to 2011.
Okay, to make it easy for us and also to our viewers at home, which is very important, out of the 20 local governments in Lagos, 7 local governments account for 50% of the votes. Now, these 7 local governments are the local governments both parties are concerned about. You have Ajeromi, you have Alimosho, you have Mushin, you have Koshofe, you have Surulere, you have Oshodi Solo, and you have Ikorodu. These 7 local governments historically are where the votes come from. If you look at the 2011 governorship elections, these 7 local governments as well were the only local governments where you had 100,000 plus voters in each of these local governments. A lot of what will happen tomorrow will be dependent on who wins this local governments. You have Alimosho, for example. In 2011, 194,000 voters. The ruling party right now has never lost Alimosho. Even at the results at the Senate and at the House of Reps, the party that governs Lagos currently did not lose Alimosho. Between today and tomorrow, anybody that wants to govern Lagos has to find a way on winning Alimosho. You also have Mushin as well, which is another local government that has high number of voters. In 2003, then Funshaw Williams also could not win Mushin. That was one of the major reasons why he did not get the general number of votes. In 2011 as well, PDP did not win Mushin. In 2015, out of all the results that have been released at the presidential level, for the House of Reps and for the Senate, the PDP currently hasn't won Mushin.
Let's see that in graphic representation, the area where the PDP you talked about is weak, so that you could just run us through them, because yes, that should pop up now. We have the local governments that you mentioned: Shomolu, Koshofe, Oshodi, Solo, Ikorodu, Alimosho, Mushin, and Ajeromi. So in the meantime, Alimosho, Mushin, and Ikorodu,
Alimosho, Mushin, and Ikorodu are must-win for anybody that wants to win Lagos State. Alimosho has the highest number of voters in the country. So anybody that in Lagos State, I mean, anybody that wants to govern in this most urban state in the country has to win Alimosho. Another interesting way for us to look at it is to see how each of these parties have performed between 2003 to 2011. Unfortunately, what we have is between these two key years where we had elections, the APC has been able to grow its number of votes between 2003 to 2011 across all 20 local governments.
Not just in the key areas.
Not just in the key areas. The number of votes the APC scored in all the local governments in 2011 was higher than the votes it scored in 2003 across all.
Not 2015 now. Let's go back to the previous one, not this 2015 that we see on the screen. We're talking about how the votes have moved from 2003 to 2011.
Exactly.
Right.
So in 2011, if you look at all the votes of the APC across all 20 local governments, you will notice a growth in the number of votes compared to 2003. Not in just the total number of votes, but across all 20 local governments, the APC has increased its number of votes.
So where is the weakness here then?
Now, for the PDP, if you look at those same 20 local governments, the votes the PDP has scored has reduced across all these 20 local governments except Ibeju. So the PDP has performed relatively worse, even by itself. If it looks at its results in 2003 and its results in 2011, it sees a decline in all local governments except Ibeju.
So we see that being sustained.
Clearly, as it is right now, we cannot categorically say the APC will win or the PDP will win, but we can look at historicals. We can look at what has happened in the presidential. They won a margin of 160,000. We can see what happened at the Senate. They won over a margin of 140,000. We can see what happened at the House of Reps. They won as well, over 120,000. If we strictly go by these trends, and these results were not results that happened a year or 2 years ago, these are very recent results.
But if one were to predicate perhaps their impression of the possible outcome this weekend on the results we've seen between 2003 and 2011 on the one hand, and then on the other hand, the results of 2015, that's completely different.
Yeah, completely different. In 2011, the PDP did not win any local governments. as in the governorship election. In 2015, we've seen them gain a upper hand in, for example, Ajeromi. It's one of those key top 7 local governments that you need to win if you want to be governor. And we've seen the PDP win that at the Senate level. We've seen them also win that at the House of Reps level. If you also look at Surulere, the PDP did win Surulere during the presidential election results. If you look at Oshodi Solo, the PDP also won that in the presidential election results. So what you have is 5 key states that are almost certain, sorry, 5 key local governments that are almost certain for the PDP. But out of 20 local governments, the question we all need to ask and watch out for is, will these 5 results, or will these 5 local governments be sufficient for them in a state that has 20 local governments? This doesn't mean the APC or the PDP has won. There are clearly clear opportunities for the PDP to still get it. We also have clear opportunities for the APC to get it. We also have to clearly state that using historicals as a basis to forecast what will happen tomorrow isn't a sufficient enough reason. A lot of discussions, a lot of campaigning has gone on up until Monday, Tuesday, when the campaign had to effectively stop.
Even yesterday.
Even yesterday.
In some messages today, but not in the mass media, as it were.
Clearly. Now, especially if you look at the mass media, if you look at, for example, Twitter, the number of followers the APC candidate has on Twitter, he has about 33,000 followers. And if you look at the number of Twitter followers the PDP candidate he has about 23,000 followers. So you see a close margin. A lot of followers, clearly on nothing compared to what the governor of Lagos State has. He has over 300,000 followers. But if you look at this election is not between the governor of Lagos State and the opposition party. This is between APC, PDP. Online, you see a close margin of followers. It's nothing too significant. But looking at historicals, we can clearly see who may take it tomorrow.